Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Before we read, let's invoke the blessing of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुर्वे नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः ईश्वरा परमा कृष्णः सच्चिदानन्दविग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविन्दः सर्वकारणकारणम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So dear devotees, we have been reading Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 and we are at the introduction. Srila Vyasadeva ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord was then married, and this we have been reading the life and precepts of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are continuing that one, which is mentioned in the introduction of Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Lord was then married with great pomp and gaiety, and at this time he began to preach the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord at Navadipa. Some of the Brahmanas became envious of his popularity, and they put many hindrances on his path. They were so jealous that they finally took the matter before the Muslim magistrate at Navadip. Bengal was then governed by Pathans, and governor of the province was Nawab Hussain Shah. The Muslim magistrate of Navadvipa took up the complaints of the Brahmanas seriously, and at first he warned the followers of Nimai Pandit not to chant loudly the name of Hari. But Lord Chaitanya asked his followers to disobey the orders of the Qazi, and they went on with their Sankirtana chanting party as usual. The magistrate then sent constables who interrupted his Sankirtana and broke some of the Mridanga's drums. When Nimai Pandita heard of this incident, he organized a party of civil disobedience. He is the pioneer of civil disobedience movement in India for the right cause. He organized a procession of 100,000 men with thousands of mridangas and kartalas hand cymbals, and this procession passed over the roads of Navdiva in of defiance of the Qazi who had issued the order. Finally, the procession reached the house of the Qazi, who went upstairs out of fear of the masses. The great crowds assembled at Qazi's house displayed a violent temper, but the Lord asked them to be peaceful. At this time, Qazi came down and tried to pacify the Lord by addressing him as nephew. He pointed out that he referred to Nilambara Chakravarti as uncle, and thus Srimati Sachidevi Nimai Pandita's mother was his cousin sister. He asked the Lord whether his sister's son could be angry at his maternal uncle, and the Lord replied that since Kazi was his maternal uncle, he should receive his nephew well at his home. In this way, the issue was mitigated, and the two learned scholars began a long discussion on Quran and Hindu Shastras. The Lord raised the question of cow killing, and the Qazi properly answered him by referring it to Quran. In turn, Qazi also questioned the Lord about cow sacrifice in the Vedas, and Lord replied that such sacrifice as mentioned in the Vedas is not actually cow killing. In that sacrifice, an old bull or cow was sacrificed for the sake of receiving a fresh younger life by the power of Vedic mantras. But in Kali Yuga, such cow sacrifices are forbidden because there are no qualified Brahmanas capable of conducting such a sacrifice. Hare Krishna. In fact, in Kali Yuga, all the yajnas, sacrifices, are forbidden because they are useless attempts by the foolish man. In Kali Yuga, the only Sankirtan yajna is recommended for all practical purposes. Speaking in this way, the Lord finally convinced the Qazi, who became the Lord's follower. The Qazi henceforth declared that no one should hinder the Sankirtan movement, which was started by the Lord. And Qazi left this order in his will for the sake of progeny. The Qazi's tomb still exists in the area of Navdeep, and Hindu pilgrims go there to show their respects. The Qazi's descendants are residents, and they never objected to Sankirtana, even during Hindu Muslim riots days. This incident shows clearly that the Lord was not a so called timid Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is a fearless devotee of the Lord, and for the right cause, he can take up any suitable any step suitable for the purpose. Arjuna was also a Vaishnava devotee of Lord Krishna, and he fought valiantly for the satisfaction of the Lord. Similarly, Vajrangaji or Hanuman was also a devotee of Lord Ram, and he gave lessons to non-devotee party of Ravana. The principle of Vaishnavism are to satisfy the Lord by all means. A Vaishnava is by nature a non-violent, peaceful living being, and he has all good qualities of God. But when the non-devotee blasphemes the Lord or his devotee, a Vaishnava never tolerates such impudence. After this incident, the Lord began to preach and propagate his Bhagavata Dharma or Sankirtana movement more vigorously. And whoever stood against this propagation of Yuga Dharma or duty of the age was properly punished by various types of chastisement. Two Brahmana gentlemen named Chapala and Gopala, who also happened to be maternal uncles of the Lord, were inflicted with leprosy by the way of chastisement. And later, when they were repentant, they were accepted by the Lord. In the course of his preaching work, he used to send daily all his followers, including Srila Nityananda Prabhu and Thakura Haridasa, two chief whips of his party, from door to door to preach the Srimad Bhagavatam. All of the Navdeep was surcharged with his Sankirtan movement, and his headquarters were situated at the house of Srivasa Thakura and Sri Advaita Prabhu, two of his chief householder disciples. These two learned heads of the Brahmana community were the most ardent supporters of Lord Chaitanya's movement. Sri Advaita Prabhu was the chief cause for the advent of the Lord. When Advaita Prabhu saw that the total human society, was full of materialistic activities and devoid of devotional service, which alone could save mankind from the threefold miseries of material existence, he, out of his causeless compassion for the age-worn human society, prayed fervently for the incarnation of the Lord and continually worshipped the Lord with the water of Ganges and leaves the holy Tulasi tree. As far as preaching work in Sankirtana movement was concerned, everyone was expected to do his daily share according to the order of the Lord. Once Nityanand Prabhu and Srila Haridas Thakur were walking down a main road, and on the way they saw a roaring crowd assembled. Upon inquiring from passerby, they understood that two brothers, Jagai and Madhai, were creating a public disturbances in a drunken state. They also heard that these two brothers were born in a respectable Brahmana family, but because of low association, they had turned into debauchees of the worst type. They were not only drunkards but also meat eaters, woman hunters, dacoits, and sinners of all description. Srila Nityananda Prabhu heard all these stories and decided that these two fallen souls must be the first to be delivered. If they were delivered from their sinful life, then good name of Lord Chaitanya would be even still more glorified. Thinking in this way, Nityanand Prabhu and Haridas pushed their way through the crowd and asked the two brothers to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. The drunken brothers became enraged upon this request and attacked Nityanand Prabhu with filthy language. Both brothers chased them a considerable distance. In the evening, the report of preaching work was submitted to the Lord, and he was glad to learn that Nityananda and Haridas had attempted to deliver such a stupid pair of fellows. The next day, Nityanand Prabhu went to see brothers, and as soon as he approached them, one of them threw a piece of earthen pot at him. This struck him on his forehead, and immediately blood began to flow. But Nityanand Prabhu was so kind that instead of protesting this heinous act, he said, "It does not matter. You have thrown this stone at me. I still request you to chant the holy name of the Lord Hari." One of the brothers, Jagai, was astonished to see the behavior of Nityanand Prabhu, and he at once fell down at his feet and asked him to pardon his sinful brother. When Madhai again attempted to hurt Nityanand Prabhu, Jagai stopped him and implored him to fall down at his feet. In meantime, the news of Nityanand's injury reached the Lord, who at once hurried to the spot in fury and angry mood. The Lord immediately invoked his Sudarshan Chakra, the Lord's ultimate weapon, shaped like a wheel, to kill the sinners. But Nityanand Prabhu reminded him of his mission. The mission of the Lord was to deliver the hopelessly fallen soul of Kali Yuga, and the brothers Jagai and Madhai were typical examples of these fallen souls. 90% of the population of this age resembles these brothers, despite high birth and mundane respectability. According to the verdict of the revealed scriptures, the total population of the world in this age will be of lowest Shudra quality, or even lower. It should be noted that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never acknowledged the stereotyped caste system by birthright. Rather, he strictly followed the verdict of the Shastra in the matter of one's Swarupa or real identity. So we'll stop here. And dear devotees, this Jagai and Madhai, they were none other than Jaya and Vijay, because three lifetimes they came, and then after that again they came in Kali Yuga as Jagai and Madhai. All right. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vyasadeva ki jai. So now we will read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. So we have been reading from volume 6, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Satsvarup Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Okay. So we were discussing a dialogue between Prabhupada and Miss Nixon about the women liberation. Next. So which is independence? To maintain under a husband is independence, or to become free to be enjoyed by everyone? There is no freedom. But still they think they have freedom. That means under some plea, the men are cheating the woman. That's all. So in the name of independence, they have agreed to be cheated by another class. That is the situation. Prabhupada explained that the Krishna conscious movement had the highest regard for women. But to protect them from this exploitation by men, he said, we teach that you do like this, you do like that. You be married and be settled up. Don't wander independently. We teach them like that. But so far Krishna consciousness is concerned, we equally distribute. There is no such thing that, oh, you are a woman, less intelligent or more intelligent, therefore you cannot come. We don't say that. We welcome women, man, poor, rich, everyone. Because on that platform, there is equality. That is equality. Next, Miss Jones began to question. Ever since Srila Prabhupada's arrival in Chicago, She had been noting what she thought was Prabhupada's excessive material opulence. You have said that you are very small, she began, and that you are not God. Yet it appears to me as an outsider that devotees treat you as if you were God. Prabhupada. Yes, that is devotee's duty. Just like a government officer. Personally, he is not very important. But so long as he executes the government order, he should be respected as the government. That is the way. Even if an ordinary policeman comes, you have to respect him because he is a government man. But that does not mean he is respected. If that means that man thinks I have become government, people are respecting me, then he is foolish. But the etiquette is that when the government man comes, you should give him respect as the government. Miss Jones, I wonder about many beautiful material things that the devotees brings to you. For instance, when you left the airport, you left in a big, beautiful, fancy car. I wonder what I wonder about this. Prabhupada, that is teaching them how to respect. If you respect a government man as government, then you must treat him like that. If you respect the spiritual master as God, then you must offer him the facilities of God. Otherwise, how should you how should he treat me as God simply in his mind? No, in action also. Miss Jones, I'm sorry. What was that you said? Prabhupada, if the spiritual master is treated as God, so the devotee must practically show how he is treating him as God. God travels by a golden car. So if the spiritual master is offered an ordinary motor car, still it is not sufficient because he has to be treated like God. What is this motor car for God? The devotees laughed at Prabhupada's bold logic. They had never thought of it quite like that. If the Guru is God's representative, then why quibble if he is offered a mere Cadillac of this material world? Prabhupada, they are still deficient. If God comes to your home, will you bring him an ordinary motor car or would you arrange for a golden car? So your point is that they offer me a nice motor car, but I say it is not sufficient. They are still lacking to treat him as a god. Be practical. Miss Jones did not think it was funny. She had another question. Her question became more challenging. Prabhupada explained to her how she must have spiritual vision to see things in their proper perspective. But if you have no eyes, therefore you are envious, because they have offered me a nice motor car. So you have to make your eyes to see. A blind man cannot see. The eyes are to be treated how to see. Miss Jones had one more question. One of the most difficult things to understand in Krishna consciousness, she said, was the deities. How could someone brought up in the West accept that the deities represented God? Srila Prabhupada first explained that spiritual soul within the body was the real self. Therefore, he said, as you cannot see the spirit, so you cannot see the supreme spirit or God. But to show his kindness upon you, he has appeared just like wood and stone so that you can see. The two reporters were finished with their questions and they thanked Prabhupada, who then turned his attention to others in the room. When a father of one of the devotees mentioned that he himself professed no religion, Srila Prabhupada replied indirectly that father was therefore a fool. The man admitted it. The mother, however, was more spiritually inclined, and Prabhupada praised her, stating that son takes on the traits of the mother. Another guest spoke. I would like to ask, Swami, would you pray for me? I am praying for everyone, Prabhupada replied softly. That is my business. Otherwise, why I have come here? A woman addressed Prabhupada. As a mother, I too wish to thank you. My daughter Joy has found Krishna consciousness. She has been recommended for the initiation tomorrow. Prabhupada. So we recommend everyone. Every American should be initiated. That is our recommendation. The sooner you accept this proposal, it is good for you. To know God and love Him, is there any difficulty? Some have become interested. Why not others? Prabhupada again glanced at the father who claimed to have no religion. Your son is interested, he said. Why the father is not interested? What is the reason? Thus the evening darshan continued until after a few hours Prabhupada ended it and distributed prasadam. When the last guest had left, several of the women devotees asked Prabhupada about the actual position of his women disciples. He smiled. When a woman becomes Krishna conscious, he said, her brain is automatically bigger. The devotees laughed. As he smiled, his devotees understood him perfectly. Whoever become a devotee, man or woman, become more intelligent. Being transcendental to the issue of men's or women's rights, Prabhupada saw beyond the designation of the body. He saw that criterion for the intelligence was not material, one's sex, race, or nationality, but was one's desire for spiritual life. A woman devotee asked Prabhupada a further question about the position of woman, and he replied, of course, you are not a woman, you are a devotee. Srila Prabhupada agreed to see several professors, acquaintances of Ravindas, Ravindra Sarups. Having received his BA in philosophy from the University of Pennsylvania and his MA from Temple University, Ravindra Sarup was now pursuing a PhD from Temple. He had once given up academics as part of the world of Maya and had fully engaged in Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada had encouraged him to return for a further degree. While in Philadelphia, Srila Prabhupada had spoken out against the process of inducive reasoning. On one morning walk, Ravinder Swarup has said, Prabhupada, the same criticism that you just made of induction was also made by John Stuart Mill and Bertrand Russell, but they become skeptics. They say, therefore, there is no knowledge at all. That is another nonsense. Srila Prabhupada had replied, that is also speculation, because I have failed, therefore there is no knowledge. Dr. Yogesh Patel, a Western educated Indian born scholar of Buddhism and Mayavada Hinduism, taught in the religion department at Temple University, accompanied by two graduate students. Dr. Patel dropped by one afternoon while Srila Prabhupada was talking in his room with several of his disciples. Ravindra Swarup made the introductions. Prabhupada, so you are teaching Hinduism? Dr. Patel, yes. Prabhupada, what is that Hinduism? Dr. Patel, I don't know. You tell me what Hinduism is. Prabhupada, you don't know? You are teaching Hinduism, but you don't know what it is? This is our Dr. Sarup Damodar. He is also a PhD. Let us get his opinion on this. Turning to Sarup Damodar, what do you think of that? He is teaching, but he does not know. He is teaching Hinduism, but he does not know. Sarup Damodar, cheater Srila Prabhupada. That is called cheater. Prabhupada, so you have heard his judgment that you are a cheater. Dr. Patel became angry and raised his voice at Srila Prabhupada. The professor and Srila Prabhupada was immediately into a battle. Dr. Patel, you teach me. If I say I don't know what is religion, then you teach me. Prabhupada, a spiritual master is not your servant. First you become shaven headed like my students. Then I will teach you. You have to offer your obeisances and surrender to spiritual master. Then he will reveal the truth. Dr. Patel replied that he did offer his obeisances to Prabhupada when he first entered the room. Prabhupada, then my first instruction to you is to stop this cheating. By now, both Srila Prabhupada and Dr. Patel were speaking with raised voices. Most of the devotees were shocked, speechless. Some of them, like Brahmananda Swami, felt compelled to somehow end the meeting. Prabhupada, you ask me what is religion? My reply is Sarva Dharmam Parityajya. Krishna says religion means Sharanam Vraja, fully surrender. Dr. Patel, what do you mean by surrender? Prabhupada, you don't know the meaning of surrender? Give me a dictionary, let us see. Dr. Patel yelling, no, I want the Sanskrit etymological meaning of surrender. Prabhupada, you don't want a spiritual master? You want a Sanskrit teacher? We cannot waste our time anymore. Brahmananda Swami saw this as his cue. He leaned over to Dr. Patel and asked him to leave before you get offensive. Dr. Patel and Brahmananda Swami then rose and left the room together. Srila Prabhupada remained shaking with anger. The senior devotees looked over at Ravindra Sarup reproachfully. How could he bring such a man to see Prabhupada? Ravindra Sarup was appalled and frightened. Never before had anyone seen Prabhupada explode with such anger. After staying up all night, Ravindra Sarup approached Prabhupada the next morning with prepared apology. Srila Prabhupada, he began, I am really sorry that I brought that professor to see you last night. I had no idea he was such a rascal. Srila Prabhupada looked up in surprise. Oh, he said, that is all right. He paused and then added with quiet satisfaction, at least he was chastised. Dr. Thomas Hopkinson's, another teacher of Hinduism, came to see Srila Prabhupada, but in a much different mood. From the beginning, they experienced an immediate rapport. Dr. Hopkins asked Prabhupada the relationship of Bhagavad Gita to Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada replied that Bhagavatam was like graduate study of Gita, beginning the where the Gita left off. Dr. Hopkinson's, if someone was going to collect a very small section of your work, say one or two verses, what would you want them to collect? That is stated in two verses. Prabhupada replied, Dharmasya hi apavargasya. And here the translation reads, all occupational engagements, dharmas, are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service, dharma, should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Prabhupada had the purport read, and he expanded on it further, explaining how people are only after material gain, neglecting the real purpose of life. Dr. Hopkins, do you think then that this message is the most important message that you have to convey? Prabhupada, that is the most important message. Because you are not this material body. Suppose you have got this shirt. So if you simply try to maintain this shirt, is that a very good intelligence? Without taking care of your person? Similarly, we are spirit soul and body is just like dress. So in the whole material world, everyone is engaged to take care of the body. Nobody knows what is spirit soul, what is his need. Dr. Hopkins seemed pleased to hear such a broad explanation of Vaishnavism. When he asked about Shiva, Prabhupada explained that although Lord Shiva should not be considered equal to Lord Vishnu, he was the best Vaishnava, the chief devotee of Vishnu, and who could be worshipped as such. And Lord Rama, Srila Prabhupada explained that Rama was an incarnation of Krishna. Professor Hopkins was pleased to hear this. Prabhupada explained that Madhava, Ramanuja, and Vishnu Swami were all big acharyas. Dr. Hopkins then asked about Tukarama, the saint of Maharashtra. Prabhupada, yes, Tukaram accepted Vishnu as supreme. He accepted the process of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sankirtan, and he accepted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his guru. So there is no difference between Tukaram and Chaitanya. Dr. Hopkins, so Lord Vitthal and Krishna are the same? Prabhupada, Lord Vitthal, Lord Vithala is Vishnu. Dr. Hopkins, and the Alvars of Tamil Nadu, Adi, Adivasi, you accept their teachings also? So the real question is between Vaishnavism and other. Prabhupada, yes, that is the question. Vaishnava and non-Vaishnava. The actual difference is personalist and non and impersonalist. Dr. Hopkins. So you would see the worshipper of Lord Shiva as impersonalist? Prabhupada, yes, impersonalist. Shankaracharya said that the absolute truth is impersonal, and one can imagine a personal form for the benefit of the worshipper. When Dr. Hopkins pointed out that some of the Shiva worshippers seem to be personalist, Prabhupada explained the real mentality of the Shaivites according to Shankara. Now I am a devotee, said Prabhupada. As soon as I become perfect, I become one. That is their theory. In the in the preliminary state, when I am not perfect, I am worshipping some imaginary form of God. But when I become perfect, there is no need of worshipping, I become one. As a scholar, Dr. Hopkins was visibly pleased to hear the authentic philosophy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Prabhupada mentioned the Samrita Brahmanas as also being impersonalist, Dr. Hopkins was surprised. It would be very difficult to pick them out, said Prabhupada. Most of the so-called Vaishnavas are impersonalist. Dr. Hopkins. So deciding test as to whether one is serious devotee or not is not only whether one is devoted now, but that he sees the goal as personal devotion. Yes, he is Nitya Yukta. That means perpetually. Dr. Hopkins, considering this criterion, inquired about the position of Sri Aurobindo, who seemed to be beyond impersonalist. Prabhupada agreed. He says that the above Mayavada philosophy, there is something else. Prabhupada explained, that is bhakti. But Aurobindo could not understand because he did not take education from realized persons. He wanted to realize by himself. Dr. Hopkins, so his problem was the effort to do this on his own. Prabhupada, yes, he did not go through the Guru Parampara. Therefore, it will take a long time. Dr. Hopkins finally had to leave. Thank Prabhupada for his time and wisdom. Why don't you join us also? Asked Prabhupada. The whole human society should join us. Dr. Hopkins replied that he had been a friend of the devotees for many years and suspected that in the end he might end up as sannyasi. Prabhupada pointed out that sannyasa did not mean a change of dress, but rather giving everything to Krishna. So we'll stop here in the interest of time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Satsvarup Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai. So tomorrow we will read about July 15, 1975 onwards. Right. Anybody has any question, correction, chastisement, realization before we continue chanting? All right. So there is no question. We'll wrap up. वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Anant Koti Vaishnav ki jai. So thank you, dear devotees, for listening to me. And please forgive me if I have not read properly.